Okay, today we're going to get into something good, really good, something that is really close to my heart. It's basically on how to learn a language. And if you guys were thinking of embarking upon learning a language, it's not as difficult as what you think. Welcome to the place where we endeavor to keep your spirits high, where the sky is not the limit and the limit is not the sky. Let's go!
¿Se fue? Por estar con una cámara no se sentó bien.
So, how to learn a language super quick. So, anyone that knows me knows that I speak 3 different languages, okay? First one is obviously the one that I'm speaking to you in, and then Twi, which emanates from the Ashanti region of Ghana, and Spanish. So, how can you learn a new language? Now, anyone that tells you that you can learn a language in anything from 6 to 3 months, no, I don't think so. You can become conversational in a language in 6 months. So for example, I was conversational in Spanish in around about 6 months. So what do I mean by conversational, sorry? I mean catching a cab, ordering some food, buying provisions from a shop, telling a person what my name is, etc., etc. So, however, anything deeper than that took a lot of self-study, a lot of practice, a lot of immersion in the language, and encapsulated in the culture of that language in order to learn the language in the first place. So, my number 1 tip is, what is your why? And when I say what is your why, you've got to have a reason behind why you want to learn the language. Is it that hot girl that you've met? Is it that hot guy that you've met that speaks a different language or comes from a different culture and you want to become acquainted with that culture and acquainted with the language? You've got to have a big why. The reason why I say you've got to have a big why is because that why will keep you motivated when you don't really feel like doing it anymore, because the road is long and it can become a little bit on the boring side. So one thing I would say personally is I do not, and I'm going to repeat this, I do not recommend Rosetta Stone as a learning tool. It's overly priced and just overly rated. I don't think it does what it says on the tin. I would prefer YouStart, or well, personally this is how I started, was with an audiobook. I continuously learned that audiobook over and over and over again. So for example, I'm using this program that's flashing up on the screen at the moment to learn Mandarin, because I'm currently trying to learn Mandarin because I travel to the Far East on a regular basis. Now what I do is I study it daily. I study that audiobook daily 5 times a week, if not 7 times a week. It's a repetitive task, it can be laborious, but I do that for around about an hour each and every day. Now, what makes me, or what motivates me to continue to do that is because I have a big why. So for example, my why is I go to China on a regular basis. I want to connect with the culture there. I buy products from there. I want to understand the culture. I want to understand the people. And what I've seen from going there on a regular basis is the fact that when a foreigner has taken the time to learn the language, and this is probably universal, but the Chinese really open up their doors, and stereotypically the Chinese or Chinese culture or Chinese people are known for being quite insular and closed. Not all, but the culture in general is known for being quite enclosed. So when you go there as a person that understands the culture, understands the language, doors and other opportunities open up to you. That is my why. So that keeps me going on when times basically get rough. So one of the methodologies that I use is I write down vocabulary from the audiobook. I continuously do that, and I continuously listen to the audiobook until I've mastered it. So it's said that around about 300, you need to know around about 300 common words in order to become conversational in any language. Yes, just 300 words. That's it. Once you know 1,000 words, you're practically living in that language and maneuvering around in that language. You're able to buy provisions, speak to people, have conversations, chat with girls, chat with boys, whatever you guys want to do. Now, once you've mastered some of the basics, then you want to graduate on to finding yourself a teacher. Now, teachers can be found really cheaply online. So some tutors live in the native countries of those particular languages. So, for example, when I started out in Spanish, my Spanish teacher was in Guatemala. I paid him around about $10 an hour, as opposed to paying somebody in the UK, which is where I am at present, £30 an hour, or even £50 an hour for some of the high-level teachers. Now, if you're a person that's interested in learning Spanish, just email me on this email that's showing below, and I can put you in touch with that teacher. That is not a problem at all. So lessons normally take around about an hour. And obviously you've got to factor in the fact that he's in Guatemala. So I think Guatemala is 7 hours, 6 to 7 hours behind GMT time. That's if you are in the United Kingdom. So the next step that I'd like to embark upon is the fact that you need to get experience immersion. So I experienced immersion through a girlfriend of mine. She was from the Dominican Republic. I was going backwards and forwards to the Dominican Republic. I got a front row seat into the culture of the Dominican Republic, which is beautiful, I hasten to add. Anyone that hasn't been there, go there. Any of you single guys that want to go there, you know, whisper, whisper. The girls are kind of hot, but that's another story. Okay, so being surrounded by her friends, being surrounded by the culture, it just expanded my learning curve by tenfold. It put me in a situation where I was constantly faced with situations which were difficult, and it forced my brain into learning, into expanding my vocabulary, etc., etc. So the main ingredient is to keep on going. Don't give up. The journey can sometimes seem a little bit on the long side, but learning a new language opens you up spiritually, opens you up mentally. Literally, you have a new eye or a new perspective on the world, and basically the way in which you connect to that world. And that's it. Until next time. We out. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe, and also leave a comment. Even if you're not watching it on YouTube, go over to YouTube, like and subscribe and leave a comment. You can also find me on social media. Yep, that's me, Ben Kofi. Just send me a request.